Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to another episode of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to creating an alternative lifestyle design that improves quality of life for both people and for the planet, exploring alternatives to the daily grind through liberation and independence, and moving you from surviving to thriving and living life effing raw. And on that effing note, this is a potty mouth podcast, so parental discretion is advised. Did that sound warning enough? Hey guys, I did a podcast, we released it on Monday about my journey towards financial freedom. And today we're going to talk about the money, because it's all about making the money, right? The Benjamins. Yeah, let's jump into it. I want to talk to you guys about some tactics that I did, how I made my money, what I did exactly, what I'm doing now, how long it took me to actually perfect this. And yeah, I make really good money. I've made six-figure income, well into a six-figure income in the past, just not too long ago from 2016, and there's reasons why I'm not doing it now, and hopefully I'll get to explain. But with that, let's get into it. So we have to have something. This is a manufacturer's best of the best. I actually created almost my own product within a product. So that's been and was my development. When I figured that out, it really was a game changer as far as for my sales. So basically what I mean is I went and took all the best of the best from each manufacturer, from sealants. I'm in the construction industry, by the way, in the roofing industry, also the painting, flooring, and synthetic turf, things of that nature that I can do. So I'm all over the place, but mainly what I found is my roofing gigs is what pays me the most. So, and I want to explain how this can go into anything. So let's lay it down. I've got the sealants from, I've spoke about this in my other podcasts. It's probably the biggest selling point that I had, because that's where everything fails. And I think that was my trick, was what's failing, how's it going wrong, why is it going wrong, and what can I do to fix this, what's out there? And I found a product, and it was from just tinkering around and trying to cut it, trying to stab it, trying to beat it to death with a hammer, running it over with my vehicle. I looked at all these things and said, wow, that's actually really, really good. It's basically a product too that you can hand over to your client, and as I do, and just say, pack a lunch, go to work with it. See if you can kill it. See if you can break this thing. And I think that was at the time, and still every once in a while from now, I said, words are words, but actions speak louder than words, right? So you hand them the sample and say, go check it out. This is what I do. So I solved that problem. There's also a lot of other manufacturers that have goods, and a lot of them suck, but they may have one that's really good that nobody else has. So pulling all the best of the best, putting them into one package deal, and proving it to the clients. And we're going to get into that, how to prove of what I've done. Really worked out tremendously. Now, how could this work for other industries? Off the top of my head, I would say maybe you're in the pool service industry, and there's a certain type of acid or chlorine or something some additives that makes the water extra smooth. A friend of mine showed me on his swimming pool that he did some sort of filtration system and got everything balanced right, where the water was just like, I don't know, it was extra clear, but it wasn't stinky. So you get my drift? If you're a salon person or something, and you've got some all-natural products that dye your hair from blonde to purple, let's just say, and they've got some biodegradable or non-toxic ones, but they fade out, but you found one that used, I don't know, grapeseed skin or something, or raspberry juice that was all natural derivative, and it lasts for a long time, doesn't have a stink. Those are things I think that we need to search for in any business that you're running, and to offer something that nobody else has, or if they do, offer it in a way that nobody else is telling you, So you would really, in almost all aspects of business, and I would say in life as well, there's like all the best of the best, all this good information out there, and you could just cherry pick. And it does take time, because you got to go through all the steps and everything to do the research, do the testing and all that, but well worth the money. So that's that on the product. Next, I want to go into confidence. And my sales tactic has been just don't lie. And there's been like weird times, like I've seen it quite a bit actually, especially when in my younger age. That was like my first question was, how long you been in business for, Because I'm rolling up, I'm in my 30s, or in my 20s, and they were just like, oh, he's got this kid, huh? So yeah, it's how to build the confidence. And I think as I spoke with getting all these materials that you believe in and that are high durability, like where you can prove what you're doing is supreme to what anybody else out there has, it really boosts your confidence. But to not lie as well, and not lie to yourself, and to practice. It's, as I said, it was really weird because you can actually see this moment in time when you're talking to a client or a prospect, and you can see them ask you a question and they just stare you dead in your eyes to watch any kind of movement. These are kind of, I think, the smart people. Like, they're waiting for you to falter off and see how kind of shady you are. It still happens to this day sometimes when I'm caught off guard by it. I kind of retract back like, whoa, that's a weird look, But then I center myself and I think about what I'm doing in that moment, and then I just lay down the law. And I just come in and I just start giving the value, and I'm looking them dead in their eyes. There's a horrible, horrible secret I'll give you guys, is that if you can't look somebody in their eyes, you can look directly at their forehead. It takes practice, but it's a sales thing that I learned like about 2 years ago. It's filthy, man. So you don't have to look at someone's forehead. I'm not endorsing that you lie, but if you are lying, that's probably how people do it. When you're looking them in their eyes and tell me the truth. If you just look at someone's forehead and just concentrate on what your lie is, it makes it look like you're looking into their eyes. They can't tell that you're looking at their forehead. That's a weird one, huh? And just stay fixed on their forehead. But yeah, once you get everything down, like for me, my confidence is I already kind of have my spiel down. Like, I'm a one-man operation. You ain't gonna get this kind of work with a whole field of dudes. Like, I'm the owner, I'm the operator, I'm the installer, I'm everything, and I need to charge accordingly. And here's why. Like, I do my good job. Find out your why, and then explain that. And you don't want to explain too much. Too many words are horrible. And we're going to get into that, of using visualization and video and things like that revolutionized my sales. But yeah, I basically sit down too, and I always like to agitate the problem. Like, there's a difference between need and want, and I always try to find what the people want instead of what they need. People are generally more going to spend on what they want. What they need probably is a cheap job, or they want like a good job, but what they want is to get the problem done. So I try to focus on that. And then I always ask them, what is your intentions with this house? Are you keeping it long-term, short-term? I show interest in what they've got for their investment. And then if they tell me, oh, we might be selling it in 5 years, 10 years from now, we're definitely selling, then I would say, well, I'd offer you a really good product, but I think that's probably not what we want here. We probably should go for a mid-grade product, or even a lower grade product. And then most of the time they ask, well, can you give me all three options? And so it paints the picture. It's not actually a trick, but I give them the gold one, let's say, or the platinum. I give them all the good aspects about it and how I install it, why it's superior to anything else. And then when I start downgrading, I say, I'll tell you what, I'll do the exact same thing that I'm doing here, such as, say, pull nails out of plywood and replace them with deck screws because we know they ain't gonna come back out. I'll do all that, but I'm gonna use the cheaper grade materials, the overlays and the woods and all that kind of deal. So you get what I'm saying? And it gives me the confidence too to know that, hey, I'm gonna make, either way, I'm giving a good presentation. And I think it just takes practice. If you're selling out there, you gotta you gotta keep going out, but I think you gotta really believe in what you're selling and not lie. And the as they say on YouTube, the audience will know if you're being fake. Like, there's just this tone, I think, that happens. I think in life in general, a lot of people, I ask them why they chose me, and they just said, well, you're just a really good guy, and I felt like I could trust you. So go out there and keep practicing and getting that confidence and making things happen. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is, if I could do it once, I could do it again. So I just want to say about making money and everything, and the confidence level before we leave that subject, is that's one of my hypothesis on business, is that in the crash of 2008, I actually made more money than I ever did. I said that before, but it bears repeating for the subject matter here. And my confidence level was up then. Right now in this COVID-19 thing, I'm kind of trying to tell myself the same. Is like, look, dude, you did it before. There's no reason why you couldn't do it again. Okay, so calm it down, man. And I don't think my industry is going anywhere, but I know for a fact that a lot of other people's industries are going to vanish. They're going to go. But what the key I want to give you is the key I keep trying to tell myself is that I've experimented with grabbing the best of all these products, tying this all together. And if I could do that with roofing, I can do it later on in the roofing industry if I so chose to. There's always innovations and things coming out. And in fact, if I changed occupations, there's no reason why I couldn't do this with any other product. So if it was done once, it could be done again. So in money, I think the hardest part is raising your prices. If you start off too low, if you start off too high, I guess it makes you kind of nervous too, because you're like, well, then I'm going to lose a lot of clients. So it's all about value for value exchange, being fair to the client, but also being fair to yourself. And I think that we need, when we first start out and when we're younger, and even when we're older, I think a lot of people don't take account of all the ghost expenses, as I explained on, how to save money. There's things that can happen where you need to buy a new vehicle for your, say your construction, your pool service business, or whatever you're doing, where you're driving more than most people. Maybe you don't know how to do the mechanics. You got to pay somebody to keep stuff up. The starter is going to go out in your vehicle from starting it every 50 times a day. In contrast to when somebody starts their car once, goes to their job, their office, starts it up again and drives home, and that's it. It's twice a day. You're doing this like multiple times a day. So your health, your future, and everything, it's very easy. It's easier to lower your price, I think, when you're in the negotiation mode than to up your price. Not to say that it can't be done, but yeah, you got to figure out what is fair and what you need, and you need to stand your ground. I think that's what we're coming up here is waiting for the right type of customers, and I'll go a little bit more in detail on that. But yeah, moving on, the next one is, so let's get into the creativity of what I did. And this one I've got on my notes here is the iPad. iPad was revolutionary. On a side note, for my special needs daughter, we never got her to actually commit to something, to anything, like a board game, a puzzle, a toy, anything. And it was the iPad that actually revolutionized it. I got a little game where it had a little chickie eggs, and when you touch one egg, it gives it a crack. You have to touch it up to 3 times before it cracks and a little baby chickie pops out. And she loved it. It was just touch a finger. But what I realized in that moment was that my daughter was more visual to get in contact. She needed something visually stimulating. And I've noticed on the learning abilities of people is that there are some people that could do it all. I think it's just, you got to find people's interests, and this ties into sales. You got to find what people are interested in, what they need, or I'm sorry, what they want and what they need, to try to balance that out and appeal. But some people you could sit there and talk to, and it's just like rubber balls going off a fucking brick wall. It's just not, it's not hit penetrating. Other people are more on the listening. They can listen, basically. I can't think of the audio. They're audio learners. You can describe it and they can get it. But for the majority of people, even the audio learners, I believe, is if you give them something visual, words are worth, a painting, as they say, is worth 1,000,000 words, 1,000 words, whatever the numbers are. So what I ended up doing was making videos later on, but in the early stages I took pictures of the stages of what I did, how I did it, and how my applications were foolproof, how things went bad. So like a really good note for you if you're going to build something like this is to take a picture of something that fell apart, and then you can explain to the client, like multiple. I like to give like 5 of them, and then I give like 1 or 2 pictures of how I fixed it, like how I resolved this problem. So you kind of show them, you agitate the problem, then you show the solution. So here's like one crack sealant and a second crack sealant, and different types and colors and stuff, and where they went bad, and then show as they're holding your sample or whatever you've got. Then you slide the iPad over, and you can kind of do your walkthrough that way. And that was revolutionary. I also did a couple of videos where I just I'll hand the client the iPad and push play and let them kind of watch. And it took time. All of my jobs I would do, I took pictures and pictures and videos and one thing I will tell you, one tip is when you're making videos in particular, is that a lot of stuff you're gonna look and go, oh, this is just stupid. I should not even videotape this. Videotape it anyways. When you have downtime, like especially right now for a lot of you with this COVID-19 lockdown thing, you can go over those videos and when you don't see something for a long time and then you see it, you go, you know what, that makes sense, or I can see how that could be a B-roll or something in a video I can make. Having a stockpile of footage doesn't hurt anything. But yeah, I would like to say that one of the most revolutionary sales techniques that I had was inducing the pictures into my clients, into the explanatory subject matter of why I was good, how I was good, how I was going to solve their problem. And that it worked out tremendously. The iPad's a lot better than a phone, because especially for some people who are in the older generations can't see that well, and you got a larger picture. Next is Better Business Bureau. Let me tell you guys what I did is I paid the Better Business Bureau, but it costs a lot of money. I think it was like $800 a year or some shit like that, and I really didn't get much business out of it all. It made me kind of look good, but it also can make you look bad because somebody could talk shit about you and give you a bad review, and it kind of gets a little iffy. So what is there? What alternatives, as we say on the show, are there? The alternatives that I came up with was being my own Better Business Bureau. So meaning that every job I did, I got a flyer and I wrote down to rate me on say 5 stars, or 1 out of 5. What would you rate us at and why? Like, what made you choose our company? You don't want to put too much information, but if they want to say optional a little bit of information of why or how your services were, they don't have to disclose their address. We just give the city, and we also ask if we could use their phone number. So once they check yes, and it's a checkbox, by the way, so they can just go and check through, like maybe at the max like 5 or 6, 7 things, like, would you recommend us? Check yes. Would you give us a 5-star or 4-star? They could just check 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever. Was there anything you can pre-write all this stuff? And then you want to know that the most important is that if you can use them as a reference, up to like say 3 times is my magic number. You don't want to bother people too much. But so what you do is you collect all these papers, right? And they're dated and they're signed in ink by the client, so we know that they're real. And then before you go to sell a job on your next one, you pull out a folder with say about 10, 15, 20, 50 of these things, these papers written. And you could say, I depend on my next job for your review. So we're guaranteeing you personally that we will do all of this, everything we say we're going to do. We are who we say we are, and we want your signature. In fact, if you need a little boost to go with us, you can call our last clients, which was these ones here. Goes inside with the iPad. You can kind of show the work that you did right then and there on the spot. So you're showing them your gallery of what you just did yesterday, and you're also giving them a piece of paper saying, hey, if you want to call these people to reference me to find out if I'm good, and I can show you you can pick anyone out of the deck here, so you've got a whole shuffle thing of them. And that was the way I did my Better Business Bureau by myself. I also use social media, and we'll get into that. Well, I guess I'll finish up with that, is I actually use Facebook to post videos and stuff of my work for my business, and it gives the transparency. It gives the clients, as I tell them, the ability to say how bad I was or how fantastic I was. Next, I said filming your work. I guess that's the social media. Let's just move right into that. So what I do as well for sales and my clients is something I've never seen before. I think there was a company, that's where I got it from, was observing another company in the state of Oregon. It was called Oil Can Henry's. And they had had a helmet on when they climb under your car with a camera. And you can literally pull up, let's say if you got your oil changed, and they will do it. They'll get in like this little manhole thing underneath your vehicle, and there's a little TV screen right by you, and they show you as they're taking apart the plug by hand, not by a ratchet, so they don't strip anything, that they're actually truly changing out the oil filter and things like that. And then they'll just kind of search around and go, hey, it looks like you got a transmission leak right here. We just wanted to bring to your attention. We can fix it for X amount of dollars, or give you a free estimate on it. So what I did is that's what I tell my customers as well, is I'm going to videotape, or I'm going to take photographs every step of the way. Use this in your business any way you can, but I'll give you the example for me, is that you never know if you have rotten woods on a roof deck, right? We never know if we can find, if we've got the leak fixed, because we got to find the source. It's kind of like a spring coming out of a mountain. There's a disruption somewhere. So when I take off, say, a roofing tile job, we remove all the tiles, we remove all the paper in that area, and we basically follow the leak to wherever it was until we can find it. And on the wood, it'll be this big old stain that just trickles down the slope, and everything above that leak will tear off to where it's completely clear and fresh. And we show the client, look, we located the problem. We followed it all the way to the source, went above and beyond on each side, and then also you had some rotted woods, or your woods weren't rotten. We hit it with a hammer, step on it, and we say, right, you're all good to go. Or you had half a sheet of plywood that needed to be replaced. Here we are pulling it out. We replaced your insulation. We put the sheeting back together. We checked all the nailing and everything on there, all on the video. Everything's all good to go. And then you get to show the client that. So they actually get a visual of what you did and how what was happening. And I think a lot of people really like that. They like to see the problem and know that it was fixed. And in fact, for my gig, is they actually saw where the whole rabbit hole, where the whole thing originated from. So now you've gained their confidence. They're like, this guy is wonderful. I got to see what I was doing or what was happening. I saw all the parts step by step. I say, hey, here's the double layer of paper we put on. See the snap a picture, video. Here's us sealing the old stuff into the new stuff. Here's us putting the old tiles back together. Here's the old tiles, all the cracked tiles that we replaced. Here's the pile of garbage to prove it. And then here's the finished product. Thank you for watching. This is, and put your brand for yourself on that. Thank you for watching. This is Roofing with Adrian Babashoff, which I say on mine. And we'll see you guys on the next one. We'll put a phone number and everything on there. And never mention the client's address or anything unless you got consent. Most people are going to say no, or their last name or their first name for that. Always ask for permission. So now we sent that to them. They're happy. Now we take that video and we repurpose it. We send it over to Facebook, to your Facebook business site, and you post that video, and then you ask your client if they please wouldn't mind giving you a review and going over there. And so if you could say, if you get the permission, it's really nice. This is Mike from, say, Carlsbad, California. That day you post the video, he goes over and says, hey, this is Mike from Carlsbad, California, and Adrian was excellent, showed up on time and everything. And it goes, now how to boost this thing to get out to make money is you go to Facebook groups of city groups, like Friends of Carlsbad, let's say, since I mentioned that. You go and you post that video to Friends of Carlsbad, and it's all in there. You can edit it a little bit. I'd recommend that you make it a lot shorter. Agitate the problem, show, hey, we're befores and afters. Here's the problem we have. This guy's got a leak. We're going to tear it up, see what we got inside. We tear it up. We quickly pan over to, hey, here's what happened. Here's why it happened, what went down, and here's how we fix it so this will never happen again. Here's the finished product. We put it all together. If you'd like a free estimate, give us a call. And I'll tell you what, guys, I've got exposure in front of, like, I think at the most, like 80,000 people, because I went to all the friends groups and Facebook around this area, and it's basically free advertisement. I've got my eyes and video and a client testimonial in front of 80,000 fucking people. This invention of mine is so fucking powerful that, and it's elbow grease, that's it. And I think paying somebody to do that would damn well be fucking worth it. It should be a business that I should start. Write that down, somebody, put it in my notes. But yeah, that's filming my work and utilizing social media. You can put stuff on YouTube as well. There's Instagram, which I didn't know. You can actually put a location so that anybody's looking for like videos on plumbing, roofing, swimming pools, beauty esthetician or whatever, that you can actually lock down. So there's a lot of stuff on social media that a lot of us don't know. Next one, cruise. Holy shit, man. I would rather stab myself in the eyeball than run cruise, but I do have to say, that's where I made the most money I ever did. That's how I made a six-figure income in 2016. That's how I made a six-figure income in the crash of 08. I built my business from probably like 30 grand to like a little bit over $100,000, you know, 30 grand a year. Of course I was single, had no kids. And you know, I had a girlfriend, I wasn't married, didn't have a house, so didn't have to worry about shit. But cruise are a pain in the fucking ass, man. I'm going to talk a little bit on a hypothesis, an idea, another invention of mine of how to combat having shitty workers. But yeah, cruise, I don't know what more to say. You do make a lot more money, you get a lot more done, but my God, I think it shaves life off your fucking years off your life. Pain in the fucking ass. I don't even want to talk about that one. Let's get rid of that. Next. One thing I learned especially when I was by myself, but even when I had my crews, was the outsource stuff. We all know about outsourcing, but I think it bears repeating. Anything that I could that wasn't dipping too much into my profits, especially if it doesn't take too much of my time, is outsourcing, especially when you're by yourself. So for instance, for me, It's having materials delivered to my job and loaded up on the roof. Being a one-man band, it's very difficult. Now on my work right now, I pretty much don't even outsource loading because all my jobs are small, and I have an entire different game plan of what I do. I don't have any crews, I don't have any, but when I did have everything loaded there. Also, you want to outsource things like demolitions is what I did. They get a crew out there and they'll just demolish that thing within like a quarter of the time that it would have taken you. So any place that you can do that. You can also use automation. As I said, when I say automation too, it's things like, as I spoke with on my podcast, was I went on my contracts and I basically put copy and paste. I put everything numbered from 1 to 3. Say number 1, we start, leak repair for a tile roof, leak repair for a shingle roof, leak repair for a flat roof, leak repair for a silicone roof. I just made a bunch of templates, and then I numbered of all the service, all the installations and things that I have to do, and all the notes. So that all I have to do is copy and paste, or I can delete out what the numbers, the items that I'm not including in this contract. So it makes from before where I had to sit and think and memorize everything, made it into a breeze. So you can automate things like that. There's auto emailing automations and things like that to look forward to, but I don't want to make the show all about that. But outsource anything you can and find out if it's definitely profitable. We were talking about raising your price. Next, I want to talk about waiting for the right type of clients. I think that a lot of ego is what you got to get out of the way in money and business and in life, in my perspective and my mindset. But what I found was that you're going to find a lot of people who are cheap, and cheap doesn't make fucking money. It's a lose-lose situation for both people in my industry, and I think in all, because if they're looking for something cheap, what's going to happen is that you're not going to really be able to perform and do a really good job. And this is your name. And word of mouth spreads like wildfire, as they say. And I think that's the downfall of most jobs. I mean, I'm driving right now and I can see they're building these houses. They probably got like 100 units. And the general contractor, the owner of the place, is wanting a good deal because he's building so many houses, so he wants them done cheap. Well, that doesn't... When you're drywalling, say, one house, or you're drywalling 100, it's still drywall. You can get some materials probably at a little cheaper rate because you're buying in mass quantities, but the installation, it's the same fucking thing as if you're doing one house. So that's when things go bad, where they're saying, hey, we're taking a week overtime here. We should have had this thing done a week ago. We need to slam this thing and get it done. And that's where poor shit comes from. And there's a lot of stress involved. I played it for a long time. My ego got hurt. I'm like, maybe I suck. Maybe I am not going to be able to be in business for myself. It was just the wrong type of clients. It was also your presentation. It's also coincides with your confidence. It goes with your knowledge, your expertise of the installations, and also the materials that you're using. But I think that a lot of it goes into the how much money you're making off the job. To lessen that stress and to gain confidence and to know to walk away from cheap fucking people. I'll tell you guys, there's days, there's no set number, but there's days that I would look at, out of 10 jobs, I'd maybe sell 2, maybe. But you know what? That if I sold 1 was way worth it than taking on, say, half of those, taking on 5 cheap jobs. That would have taken up 2 weeks of my time, and I was barely making money, to where I got 1 job and it took up 1 week of my time, and I made really good money. And in that interim, I maybe advertised to get maybe 20 other leads and lost maybe, say, all of those except for 3. But I'm booked up for 3 weeks making $1,000 a day, $500 to $1,000 a day, and I'm making way more money, and I'm making myself look better. I don't have to rush, the stress level's down, and everything's running pretty smooth. So I think that's probably the biggest one, is having the patience and the smarts to wait for the people who are willing to pay, because there's a lot of them out there, man. If you can appeal to someone's common sense and you tell them why they don't want to hire a crew, because they're going to come in and do as I just explained, and why you're going to take your time and with a fine comb go through everything and make sure everything is absolutely perfect, they will wait and they will pay. I'm living proof of it. Wealthy areas was my best thing I've ever done. A lot of people still, even now, are like, it's too expensive to live in Southern California, especially San Diego County. It's fucking ridiculous. I agree. But my hack is that I live in an RV park. where most people on the average are paying $1,800 to $25 to even $3,000 for a house. In the ghetto parts, I mean, $1,600 barely gets you like a small 2-bedroom apartment. I'm paying $850. And the thing is, I want to say is that I'm surrounded with wealthy people. I've said this before, but that's where the money is. And I'd like to say I used to work in LA, and there was wealthy people there, and I made a lot of good money. As I spoke on my story to financial stabilization, was I actually lived in Ontario and the Inland Empire outside of LA, and it was a middle class to poor area, and there wasn't a lot of people with money out there. So I found that I had way better business in LA, which was pretty much a give or take, a 4.5 to 5.5 hour round trip every single fucking workday, which is bleeding me out and fucking murdering the life inside me. Now I live right dead smack in the middle where there's mansions. I'm by the coast. It's a beautiful place to live, and the people got the money, and there's plenty of them. And I think that that's wherever you are, you need to follow the money. That's people in the real estate department, agencies and stuff like that, in any marketing stages, that's where they're going to tell you. You go where the money is. That's where I think it's Robert Kiyosaki was saying, is that the Wall Street, I guess, the stock guys, the investors, they went after people's pensions. That's where the money was. So the same thing with you. Observe the machine, the animal, the devil, the monster of society, as people call them, the corporations, everything. Watch what they're doing and see if you can replicate it. I, for one, it was the best move I've ever fucking made. I've never been happier. And I succumbed to doing what I wanted to do instead of compromising for other people. And you'll hear the whole story on Monday's podcast of why. You know, I tried to be nice, I tried to be cool, but now it's my time. And I love it. And it was the smartest thing I've ever done. Next, the internet changes everything. So a lot of people, I think, are functioning and doing work in the old ways of yellow pages or getting word of mouth. And I'm not saying that doesn't work, but what I'm here to say is, people said you're hurting your business and you're hurting your family by moving around. Bullshit. The internet's changed everything. Even in the state of Oregon, there was a Reliable Remodeler, I think was one of them. It was a company that you sign up with. They screen you, they make sure you're licensed and everything, and then that next day, you sign up with them, you pay, you're getting leads. The next day, I just moved there, and I'm getting leads. I just moved to San Diego County, opened up some internet stuff, and they're finding the leads for me, and I pay them. And it's not quite bad. On average, for my jobs, I make anywhere at the lowest, I'd say $750. But on average, I make about $1,100 to $1,200 per job, and this lead company's charging me like $22 to $26 per lead. Do I get all of them? No, as I said, but the ones I get, they more than pay for themselves. So these guys are doing all the work for me, as I said, outsourcing all that, plus in conjunction with the Facebook dealio. I'm giving you guys away all my secrets too, by the way. I bet you if somebody other roofers find out about this stuff and start I'm going to shoot myself in my foot if I haven't already. So yeah, internet changes everything, man. In any industry you are, even hauling garbage, you can go, there's apps out there that'll get you leads. Of course, you got to pay for it, but they get you gigs right there on the spot. Maybe within like an hour, you're up and you're working. So yeah, internet changes everything. Less stress and more time for myself, I'd like to say, is once I got rid of all my workers, life really improved. The money, I'm nowhere near making the amount of money. But I'm working on that. The amount of money that I made from when I had the cruise going, for sure. But I'm making enough money that where I can actually stockpile away for savings, for retirement, and to take my mini retirements. For those of you who don't know, this would have been, if I'm able to do it, this 2020, this would be my 6th year in a row where I take 3 to 4 months off. I do a mini retirement every single year. It's because I don't have employees. And I can plan my life a lot better. I could actually spend more time with my kids if I want. I could take a day off, not worry about having to go get everybody busy, worrying about if they're going to show up, do a good job. My analogy here, which I think we'll get into if we have time, is for retirement, is when you got kids, you only have them for so fucking long. And pretty soon they're not even going to want to be with you. They're going to be teenagers. They're going to get friends and boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever it is. And they're going to be gone. And we'll never have this time again. There's no amount of money that could buy you that time. So in my philosophy is I want to spend that time with them now, and I would rather wait. As I said, if I could do it then, I could do it again with a crew making big bucks. Why not take the time right now and spend that time for myself and for my kids and have a better life earlier? Don't wait for later, because later you fucked up. It's gone. It's never there. So yeah, way more stress. I'm sleeping a lot better. I'm actually trying to start like 3 or 4 other businesses besides the roofing business that I've got running. But I've been doing it for so long that it's on autopilot. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that if I had a crew. It would just be that my mind would be full of what I'm into. So yeah, my future, we'll give you guys, since we were talking about that with the crews, the future is quite this. I'll make it simple and quick. Is I was looking to get a team behind me. And what I want to tell this team, these employees, is that I want to help you get away from me as soon as possible. I want you to go into business for yourself, but you're going to have to work for me for, like in mine, say 10 years. I'll make it quick. This is exactly the spiel I'd give them. It's going to take you 4 years, probably more realistically 4.5 to 5 years to qualify to get your own license. Okay, so you're going to work for me. Let's just give it like 5 years. I'm going to pay for your license as well. And after that 5 years, you're going to have to learn to get about working capital. You're going to have to save that working capital. And you're gonna have to learn how to sell. So I want you to work for me for another 4 to 5 years after that and start stuffing some excess money in the bank. And if you're making me money, we're gonna give you raises, we're gonna give you bonuses, and we're gonna put that money aside for you to get your business started. You're also gonna need money for ghost expenses. I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that even in the construction industry with this COVID-19 thing is nothing is for certain. And you want to know what helps out is having a backup fucking plan, having emergency funds. Those of you who don't know, I've got funds that could probably last me up to 2 years if I did absolutely nothing before I'd go broke. So I'm minimally unaffected. But to teach these people the longevity and the survival of recessions and things like this epidemic and get them all started. So that would give them, in my book, they would be at the office or at the job before me and give them the incentive to really double over and just really give their all. And the ones that don't, get rid of them and fucking replace them. So that's like my tactic right there. And I think that when you're older as well, I'm in my mid 40s. My children are, my youngest is 12 years old and special needs, by the way. So I think I'm gonna have her for the rest of my life. My oldest, she'll be gone in like 3, 4, 5 years probably. And in that time, it alleviates more time for me to actually be with younger people, to actually help them and hone their skills. Meanwhile, as I said with the Facebook stuff and everything, if I keep posting all these jobs that I'm doing and showing how I'm solving problems and proving it, in 5 years time from now, I will dominate this entire fucking place. And I don't see anybody else doing this sort of thing in my industry. So yeah, I think we're fucking killing it. And I think I'm preparing myself for that time, regardless whether I have a crew or not. And that's when things are going to fucking explode if I so choose to do them that way. I'm really fired up and excited about this thing. And I think that sometimes we may have life backwards. We're following we're following old ways, and we're following like the patterns. And obviously, like what I like to say right now is this COVID-19 lockdown thing, the systems that are in place are a proven fact to me that they failed us. Look how many people are going hungry. They're jobless. They don't have money for fucking food. They're gonna lose their fucking shit because they didn't plan. And public education, college, all of these things never taught people how to think out of the box and think differently and try to peek into the future. Nobody has a crystal ball. I'm not saying that for sure. I'm not saying that. But money makes the fucking world go round, and it's what helps you get through times like this. And if you ain't got it, you're screwed, man. So you guys, that's the show. I've got to get going to work here. What I want to do is I want to extend this podcast because I got a couple extra notes here. And if you want to see the rest of this thing, you're going to have to go down to Facebook, the Up and In It group. It's private, but I approve everybody right off the bat. Anybody is approved. We make it private because we want to keep assholes out, from being jerks and being mean to people, and keep all the cool people there so we can create some sort of like a community. So check it out. I've got like about 2 to 3 more. I want to talk about how old guys can't shut the shit off. My father's one of them. He's going crazy. He says, with this COVID-19 not working, he doesn't know what to do with himself. He basically can't retire. I want to talk to you guys about how postponing retirement with the business and some more tactics on the things that I spoke about today. Because you see, usually I give these shows, and then as I'm like doing my job, like this morning, I start reiterating, start thinking about everything I said on the podcast, and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have said this. Oh, I wish I would have said that. I start finding all these cookies, and I want to give those to you guys at the Facebook group site. So go over there at Up and In It and check that out and become a member. It's all free. I'm not going to spam you guys. So that's the show, guys. Check us out on Spotify, Apple's iTunes. Leave me message me, guys. It really fires me up if you're interested in this sort of thing, and you see it gives you value. Because to me, I don't know who's listening. I don't know what the stats are, if we're even moving. And sometimes it just kind of gets me bored. But regardless, I love podcasting. I'm going to keep doing it. But yeah, there's going to be some extra stuff coming out on YouTube. So check that out. Everywhere, basically, on Up and In It. And yeah, so as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.